Hello everyone and welcome back to the top 4 here in Portland, Oregon. My name is Kenny Wisdom, joined by Alan Luke Wynn.
Hi.
And we have 4 players left in this tournament. Tell us what we have, Alan.
We have Polo Lee with Empoleon, Jacob Van Wagner with Seismitoad Slurpuff, Kyle Thomas with Psychic Bats, and Jordan's Stoddard with
Manectric Ho-Ho.
Yes.
We saw Jordan Stoddard defeat Chase Maloney in the top 8, and now we are going to see Jacob Van Wagner and his Seismitoad Slurpuff deck, the same deck that he played yesterday, more or less. Some changes because of the expanded format, of course. Playing against Kyle Thomas and his Crobat Wobbuffet deck. What do you think of the matchup, Alan? Have you seen it before?
Yeah, I've seen it. I think this matchup is more into Jacob's favor because he has the weakness towards the landers. Well, there's a Psychic.
Yeah, there are actually no landers. As far as we know, it's only Psychic, just Wobbuffets.
Then scratch that. Then the bats actually have a higher favor because even though you're losing your items, you could slowly just hit them down with Psychic Assault on the Seismitoad. And they can't really put down Slurpuff because of the Wobbuffet effect. Yeah,
the Bide Barricade will be shutting off Slurpuff's ability, which turns Jacob's deck then into just mainly a Seismitoad deck.
Yeah,
Seismitoad's a very powerful card, of course, not to discount that, but I think the matchup is certainly in Kyle's favor.
Yeah, and it's really slow without Slurpuff. And also you have all these trainers, but Jacob does have the advantage with locking him down, so he can't really evolve that much. He slowly evolves, but getting the Crobats and Golbats are going to be much harder for him to draw it out.
Absolutely. And then on the other side, we have Polo Lee with Empoleon versus the player we just saw.
Jordan.
Jordan Stoddard with his Manectric Ho-Oh deck. I think that will really come down to what the specific counts are, because Manectric obviously very good versus Empoleon because it's weak, but the Ho-Oh not really playing a whole factor there because it's weak to Empoleon. So I would say that Jordan's probably favored if he can just go on the straight Manectric plan.
Well, yes, but Polo does run milk tanks, so he wouldn't really go heavy on the Empoleons. He'll use it for the draw support and for execution or damage. But for now, since with the Dust Lord, he can use the milk tank to stack up the damage on the Manectric and force him to either bring up another Manectric, and knowing that the damage is out there with the Dust Lord out on the field. Okay,
so both players seem to have a little bit of an edge versus the other one, I suppose. I would still probably give the edge to the Ho-Oh Manectric player, but I think it's very close. We'll be sure to update you guys on all of those matches as they happen. And it looks like the players are still shuffling up here. This is a good time to mention that On the Bubble is brought to you by Top Cut Central. Check out topcutcentral.com for all of your accessories, singles, sealed product, basically everything on there. We also have an extensive buy list on topcutcentral.com if you guys want to offload some of your rotated cards or maybe trade some of your old cards in for some of the new set. There is a buy list bonus. So check all of that out at topcutcentral.com.
And don't forget the mats on the field that you see right now, or soon you're going to be seeing. Those are also on sale that you can buy.
Absolutely. If you're enjoying the stream today, you can check out the YouTube channel that these will all be on once I get home for the weekend and upload all of them at youtube.com/onthebubblepokemon. Be sure to check that out. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/otbpokemon. Follow me on Twitter. You can see our Twitter names, Alan and I, on the your screen right now. Definitely all ways you can help out the stream. We will be streaming all the state championships in the Northwest, to the Vancouver, Washington, and Oregon state championships, as well as the Seattle regional championship. Not sure which of those will be streamed versus recorded. It just depends on how the internet is at the venues, but those will be at least out in the world in some way. So while the players are still getting shuffled up, tell us how your weekend went, Alan.
I was trying to strive for some points for my Rose Invite. I didn't get it, but I was able to get some packs, so that's I don't really mind about me getting top 64 because of how my little brother did. He's currently in the top 4, and he got Rose Invite entering top 8.
And he's in juniors, yes?
Yes, he's in juniors. So I'm really happy about that, just from his performance today and yesterday. how well, because this is his first year, like really competitive, outgoing in tournaments and stuff. So I'm really impressed about him.
And you have another horse in this race too, huh?
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Polo or
Mr. Polo.
Mr. Polo. So, we've been racing each other really. I thought I had the advantage, but now him entering top 4, he has the advantage. He's going to be around 150, 160 points now.
Polo is your brother, of course.
Yes.
So we have a little Win family dynasty going on.
Yes.
Going on this year, and we saw your brother Charlie on stream as well. Do you know how he ended up finishing?
I believe it's 3-3 drop. He was actually hungry. Yeah. He kind of stayed up all night when we drove down, and he kind of didn't eat anything during lunch break because the amount of time on stream and getting out.
Sure.
So.
Well, hopefully. So how far did your little brother make it? Did he lose, or is he still?
He's still in top 4 right now.
He's still in top 4 in juniors.
Yeah.
All right, and Polo, of course, is still in top 4 here as well. Let's switch over to that match.
And we have Kyle Thomas on our left and Jacob on our right.
Absolutely. Players just waiting for everything to get set up, it seems.
Oh, it was one of the questions you asked me yesterday about Charlie, if he's actually going back into the season. He is. I actually talked to him slightly after, and he said, with all these big tournaments actually coming up, why not try? With the resources we have now, being able to drive and trying to find a way to pack 5 people in the car. So
that'd be awesome. I know Charlie used to play a little bit more competitively. He would always be hitting the tournaments with your crew, and it seems like a disappointing finish here, but there's still a lot of the season left.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't really get that much practice in. We asked him, I think, like the day before if he wants to go, and he just like, sure, why not? Just give me a deck. And going back into the game, I'm kind of impressed about how he performed yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. So looks like we're going to start things off here. Jacob Van Wagner going first with a Seismitoad EX active, and there's one of the cards that makes expanded a little bit more powerful than standard in level ball.
Seems like he's going to level ball for the Swirlix.
Yeah, I think he still just wants to play the Swirlixes and play the Slurpuffs. There's nothing really holding him back from doing that. The Wobbuffet is going to turn those abilities off, of course, but he can knock out Wobbuffets. He can, those Slurpuffs are still going to have an effect.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you could go around the Wobbuffet, either catching it up or just killing them, you could still have the advantage of using it and having it ready to use when he can't get one out.
Absolutely, and we see Kyle with a level ball of his own after an attachment. And so Kyle is playing the, what people call the Psychic Bats deck. Basically, Golbat and Crobat both have abilities when they enter the bat, when they come into play, where Golbat places 2 damage counters wherever you'd like on your opponent's board, and Crobat places 3. So it's a really nice way to be able to pick where your damage is going, kind of snipe, as they say, and kind of decide what to do with it. Additionally, Wobbuffet's attack, Psychic Assault, does 10 more damage for each damage counter on your opponent's active Pokemon. So Wobbuffet looks like a pretty unassuming, little 110 HP basic, but when you get him active, the Bide Barricade turns on. His attack, after a Golbat and a Crobat, you already have 50 on, so his attack's doing 60, so it's just
a total 180 or 110. And on top of it, you also have Crobat's Skill Dive, the attack, which is a 30 damage. So I don't know if Jacob actually runs the Mr. Mime to stop the Skill Dive, but if he's able to just swap out his Seismitoad and leave it on the bench with filled and he couldn't max pushing it off, then the Skill Dive is really threat to him.
I don't imagine that Jacob does. I haven't actually seen his list, but I don't think this deck was a concern of his. He did get kind of metagamed in a way. We talk a lot about how expanded is all based on what your opponent's going to play in the top 8.
Yeah.
This event, of course, is too small for Day 2 Swiss, so you only play expanded in the top 8 portion. And wow, Jacob missing energy drops at all and just having to pass back to Kyle's huge there. So Kyle chose to play this deck because of its good matchup versus Pyroar,
yeah,
which is what his top 8 opponent Jack Stensrud was playing. And so You can, like we've talked about a lot during the stream, you can only focus really on that top 8 opponent and what they're doing. And Kyle successfully predicted that Jack would be playing Pyro as he was playing all season, and now he's advanced to the semifinals here, and it seems like he has a good matchup. Like we said, those Slurpuffs are getting turned off. Jacob's actually just having an incredibly hard.
Yeah, and Kyle here just actually picked the Sigla, which is a very nice pickup against the Seismitoad deck. Due to Seismitoad doesn't really have any ways to kill Sigla other than the lasers. So with that pickup, it's going to be really hard for Jacob to actually kill this Sigla.
Yeah, definitely. The Sigla is going to be huge for Jacob. Or sorry, huge against Jacob. As Jacob doesn't really have a way to deal with it. As you said, he only has... is he still playing the Victini?
I have not talked to him about that.
Okay, I don't know. I know he was playing the Victini yesterday. And there's some tools. And he does get the energy now, so he can actually do what his deck is designed to do in Quaking Punch.
Yeah, and with that Dimension Valley down on the field, Siglas could actually attack now if he charges 1 energy.
Absolutely, Dimension Valley. Reducing the attacks of Sigla energy cost by 1. And yeah, just not where you want to be if you're Jacob. You can see Jacob missing energy on both turns 1 and 2. Yeah, his Seismitoad now.
He really needed those energies to stop the Crobats or Zubats from coming down, plus the Muscle Band coming up.
And there's the knockout. Jacob promotes his Slurpuff with the Float Stone on it, but will not be able to capitalize on stability because of Wobbuffet.
Yeah. So there's a fire. He discarded fire, and I believe there's escape rope. So I believe the Victini is still in there.
Okay. And there's an N. Jacob taking a quick N here is I believe where you want to be. Kyle is way ahead on board, and Jacob just needs to deny him resources as much as possible.
Yeah. And on top of that, if Kyle can, he's potentially just without attacking has 70 damage with 2 Golbats and a Crobat. So, yeah. And it was a Psychic Assault coming out. I believe that could be a knockout on Seismitoad if you could pull it off. Actually, he's at 10 short.
We see Jacob with a Quaking Punch does find the Seismitoad that he needs. And there's a Golbat activation. And there's a Colress off of the Skyla. So it doesn't look like Kyle will be exploding too much this turn. But he will be drawing quite a few cards next turn. And he's going to be able to deal 30 to Jacob and pass the turn. Jacob is going to take the quick knockout. Not really a lot of options Jacob has. Jacob's deck is kind of designed to not have options in a way. It's kind of designed to just do one thing, which is Seismitoad, Quaking Punch, and then draw a bunch of cards.
From what I'm seeing from his hand, he does have actually a head ringer, but with the Dimension Valley being out on the field, it does not make that much of an impact. It requires him to attach more energy to the Wobbuffet to attack, but with the Wobbuffet up, it's going to be harder for Jacob to actually get back in. Because of the if Kyle, what he does, bring up the Wobbuffet, the Slurpuff won't be able to help him again, since he just got out the lock.
Absolutely.
And it seems like Kyle's Psychic Assaults, or not Psychic Assaults, for 60 damage.
Yep, and Jake's going to go ahead and switch into that Slurpuff, but again, going to be unable to activate the ability. If only Slurpuff was Psychic type. And there's an N, so I'm going to put them, Jacob back to 5 cards and Kyle to 4. And this has just been a very rough game for Jacob.
Yeah.
Jacob again is looking to become a 2-time regional champion. He won this event last year when with the Ho-Oh EX Verizian Genesect deck, and he's in the top 4. Only two more match wins to run it back. Last year he won $1,000 as the added prize, which was pretty nice for him.
Ooh.
2 crushing hammers coming down. Oh,
And Jacob misses both of them. He needed those. He needed to stop the Wobbuffet for a turn.
Yeah, those would have been very nice. And as you see, Jacob just promotes Seismitoad again and attacks, not wanting to let Kyle have a turn of having items. And now Kyle already starting the assault with 20 on that Seismitoad. Yeah, so the way that Kyle's deck works, just to reiterate, is he attacks with a Wobbuffet. It is an attack that does 10 damage plus 10 damage for each damage counter on the active Pokemon for 2 energy or 1 after the Dimension Valley. So, you put a bunch of damage counters on with the Crobats, and then you are suddenly attacking for a lot of energy. Or sorry, for a lot of damage with very few energy, and you're blocking your opponent's abilities.
Yeah. Right now, Kyle is in such a great position right now. He has a chance to put down 90 damage with the 3 Golbats down on the field, plus a Sigilyph with only 1 energy. If he's able to get another energy and just a Dimension Valley, he could sit there and be perfectly fine.
Yeah, and he also has 1 prize card remaining, I believe. Oh, he's not got 2 Seismitoads. So he has 2 prize cards remaining. So just 1 more EX knockout will do. He is asleep due to the laser flip, so that might buy Jacob a little bit of time.
Actually, no, it'll kill him, I believe. Yeah. With the poison Verbank down on the field because he Quakings. So it does get him out of the lock, though.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I missed the Verbank there.
Yeah.
And so, at this point, Kyle needs...
Kyle needs to pull a Dimension Valley or another Wobbuffet in order to attack. Or he could try to slowly stall out and just crawl back. So
there's one piece of that puzzle. The Wobbuffet energy, and now Kyle's going for the N.
For 2 cards. So this is an interesting play. But I understand where he's going. He's probably going to retreat the Golbat to the Wobbuffet and leave it up there so so Jacob can't
activate those
tasting.
slip-offs.
Yeah, so he can't tasting.
Dimension Valley would be huge, and
wow.
There it is. That's got a sting for Jacob, and there's the attack. Jacob going to draw his card, and things are not looking good for Jacob at this point.
And Jacob plays a laser, hoping to put him to sleep.
Yeah, it's really what he needs here. Oh, and he misses. It's going to be pretty unfortunate for Jacob. There's a Versus Seeker. And for those of you who don't know how Jacob's deck works, there's anyone new watching the stream, Seismitoad has an attack for a 2 colorless energy that does 30, and your opponent can't play items next turn. And then Slurpuff has an ability to let you draw an extra card every turn, or draw 2 cards if Slurpuff's active.
Yes.
So the way that's going to work is that Jacob is just aiming to Quaking Punch from the beginning, turn off his opponent's items, and then hopefully win by a card advantage to the Slurpuffs, drawing, he can place 3 Slurpuffs on the board and draw 3 extra cards a turn. If he ever gets one active via switch, he can draw 2 cards, and then he has that Lysander's Trump card that he just played.
Yes.
That just lets him, after he's drawn his entire deck through the game, he can Versus Seeker for the Trump card and reset it all and do it all again. So Jacob's deck just kind of has a inevitability. It doesn't do a lot of damage. It can with the Muscle Band and the Quaking Punch with the Verbank Laser. It can do a lot of damage, but mainly it's just set on locking your opponent out of the game and just burying them in card advantage.
Yeah, on top of that, you run Crushings and Lasers to slow them down. You could put them to sleep, poison them with a bit more damage.
Looks like a judge is being called. I think that Kyle went to draw. He went to look at the top card of his deck to put it into his hand. That's what they're wondering about. Should be resolved pretty easily, I think, just as long as I'm sure what's going on. If he just looked at the top card of his deck, shouldn't be a huge penalty. I think that's all that happened. We can see Kyle and Jacob from our vantage point. It seems like the judges are...
They're reviewing over it at the play.
Having a small conversation.
So,
so they're making Kyle reveal the cards to Jacob so that everyone...
So it will be... So the ruling on that, I believe, is they will reveal the card to the opponent that you saw. Then Kyle Thomas will get a warning, and Jacob will get a caution because he was unable to stop him in time.
Maintaining the game state, right, yes. Right. And we saw that Kyle is going to draw a muscle band, which is unplayable, and then
there's a Cyclone Scoop Up the next card.
Yeah, Scoop Up Cyclone. Both unplayable cards, but it's going to be hard because Jacob is going to... Actually, Jacob has the knockout this turn.
Yes.
So maybe Jacob could crawl back into this game. He knows that Kyle's next top deck is going to be dead. He'd really like to set up a new Seismitoad again. All of his resources are back in his deck.
Now the question is, what is the 2 cards that are in Kyle Thomas' hand currently?
It's a muscle band and one other card.
Well, no, because so he ended for 2 cards. And he didn't play those 2 cards.
He did play one of them. He played the Dimension Valley.
Okay, so there's still 1 card that's unknown right now.
Yeah, it's not a supporter though, because he would have played it last turn.
Yes.
So we can just assume it's a dead card, and there is the second Seismitoad.
And this is really bad for Kyle now because Kyle is going to draw. He's going to draw that Cyclone Scoop, but he cannot play it. So at this point, all Kyle can do is pass.
Yep, and it looks like Kyle, unless he was holding the supporter that he drew off of the end, he should just have nothing in hand. And Jacob is looking to retreat this.
Keeping the reverse hollow one.
Then there's the switch, and now Jacob is going to get to activate that Slip Puff's ability, and Jacob is actually coming back here. Jacob is going to have to deal with a bunch of non-EX knockouts, so he actually has to take 3 prizes the hard way. But a few more missed top decks from Kyle, and this could be Jacob's game.
Yeah.
There's a knockout, the promotion.
I'm actually surprised how Kyle didn't put up the Sigilyph, actually, making Jacob rely on the poison. But I understand why he has it down, but he still requires he requires a energy and a Dimension Valley to even start attacking with it.
And he top decked another muscle band, so it doesn't look like he's doing much this turn.
Yeah.
And now he's choosing to promote that Sigilyph and make Jacob have the laser.
And with the Slurp buff, drawing 2 cards.
And there's a crushing hammer.
He lands one.
Taking care of that Sigilyph energy. And Jacob's going to be able to draw a few extra cards this turn, so hopefully he'll be able. He's looking for a...
I believe he's coursing for 5 cards, and he still has the 2 tastings.
Yeah, so he still has 2 draws. If he has a switch, he can always switch into the Slurp Puff like we saw him do last game and draw an extra card.
Yes.
And there's 5. Tasting, and did he hit the laser? Does not appear that he did.
The problem here for...
Kyle forgot about his own Sigilyph's ability.
The problem here is that Seismitoad is actually on the bench is 110, so even with 2 Crowbats, it would not die. But a chance what Kyle can do is Crowbat Seismitoad twice and try to get energy to skill dive it to knock out for game.
Absolutely. So Kyle, he drew the Crobat this turn, but besides that, his draws have just been dead. He's looking for a non-item card. He needs energy, Dimension Valley. A supporter would be great.
Yes.
But he has had a few turns of absolute dead top decks. And Jacob is just looking for that Hypnotoxic Laser. He's found one via the computer search.
I believe he's not going to actually go for a laser for here. I think he might go for a Max Potion to heal that Seismitoad.
Did he play Max Potion in the deck?
I think he should be able to play a 1 in this deck.
Okay, that would be huge as well. I'm just not sure. There's the Versus Seeker.
I wonder what he's going to go for. Oh, he's going to go for a chorus. So he's going to try to refresh his hand for another 5 and a tasting.
So he's deciding what to play. He brought a Colress to the front and then a Juniper.
Yeah.
But he's going to go ahead and take the Colress. Doesn't want to discard the...
He didn't want to discard that crushing. He's gonna I think there's a laser. Yeah,
so there's the laser. And tails. Doesn't really matter too much if it's heads or tails. Obviously, Jacob would prefer it to be heads, but not the biggest deal.
Yeah, so he's going to try to chorus for 5. And he still has the 2 tasting out there.
Absolutely. And so Jacob is fighting his way back into this game. You know, a nice top deck from Kyle can obviously put an end to this game if Kyle draws well. But Jacob has, you know, for not doing anything the first 2 turns and then being behind in prizes all game, he is actually getting somewhere. And there's a third Seismitoad.
Yeah. Another thing on Jacob's side is with the Quake, or just with the Poison, he still gets the lockout on Quaking, and the Poison will die, I believe, going into Kyle's turn. So it kind of puts it in Kyle's favor, but he kind of doesn't want to do that right now because he loses a lot, and Kyle just passes.
Yep, and there's the third energy on the Seismitoad, just having the ability to retreat. And here's the big top deck. This is the big one. What was it?
You get psychic.
It was a psychic energy.
That is game 1 to Kyle Thomas. Skill diving the Seismitoad for game. Oh, I believe. Wait. Oh, I was off because he didn't get the second Crobat. Whoops.
Oh, yep. It's only at. But can Jacob actually knock out that?
Well, Jacob could either crushing the energy off, or put it to sleep.
He's at 130 HP, so he's going to... Well, so Kyle, after drawing dead for multiple turns, hits the 1 energy he needs, and suddenly Jacob's on the back foot once again, needing to hit some crushing hammer. I think I did see a Hypnotoxic Laser in his hand.
So putting the Crobat to sleep is going to be really crucial for Jacob. And it's not
a tails, and it looks like that might just be the game.
Actually, it might not. If Jacob could get a crushing hammer and pull off the energy, he might actually have a chance.
Okay, there's the crushing hammer. We see he drew it off of the Juniper. And that's a heads. And he also has another laser.
Control yourself, Jacob.
10 solar for both players. This laser is huge. And it's a heads. All right, so Jacob now in a
in order for
strong position.
Kyle actually has a lot of outs. He needs to wake up. And he
did not wake up. All right, let's see what his top deck was.
In order for him to get out and win this, is just top decking a Crobat. So
and he found a second Psychic Energy.
But he's not awake.
Yeah, he's going to go ahead. What will happen here is Kyle will pass the turn, go up to 110 damage, and then Jacob will be able to attack, knock him out, and Jacob Van Wagner comes from behind to take game 1 on his path to becoming a 2-time regional champion.
That crushing was crucial, and the laser.
Absolutely. This I've seen Jacob play a few times on stream this weekend, and what I've always seen is him just kind of the games that he starts out losing, maybe doesn't get the turn 1. Quaking Punch has a little trouble, but just through the mid game and the late game, being able to reset the Lysanders, get Lysander trump card, get Crushing Hammers, get Hypnotoxic Lasers, and be able to pull out games like that. Yeah. That was very, very nice back and forth game. I still think the match is anyone's. We see Kyle had a pretty dominating board position there, and it took a good 5 turns of.
I think what happened with Kyle is, with the amount of you want to take in like a benchmark of 2 prizes off the Seismitoad. So he took the early 4 prizes, and that would punish him because he wasn't able to mill out his deck that well to get more supporters out. So that would make him stuck, and allowed Jacob to trump card where he had 2 cards and he was unable to reverse the Seeker, and he doesn't have that much supporters, and most of them are already back into the deck.
Absolutely, absolutely. And these rounds are 75 minutes. So we will have plenty of time for these players to finish their matches. I do not know the result of the Polo Lee and Jordan Stoddard match, but they are playing right next to Jacob and Kyle, so we should be able to know that as soon as it happens. And looks like both players are still shuffling up, drawing their opening hands. Let's see what happens. Kyle does get to go first this game because he lost the first game, and it looks like
Jacob
is going to go ahead and take a mulligan. Alan is going to go ahead and check on that Polo, Lee, and Jordan Stoddard match as we wait for Jacob to resolve his mulligan. Quite the game in game one. Quite the game in game one. Jacob down a little bit and is able to come back. Kind of what can happen with the Seismitoad deck, I've noticed. As I said, there's kind of two kind of games that can happen. The first one is a very dominating, kind of boring turn one Quaking Punch with a muscle band on it, build up enough stuff on your board, drown your opponent card advantage. And then games like this that can also happen are where you go behind early and have to kind of use your, maybe, I don't want to say less powerful, but you have less damage output at the very least.
Yeah. So I actually got an update on Polo's game. They're still in currently game 1. And by the look of the prize board, Polo has 4 prizes to Jordan's 3. But Polo's board is really strong currently. What I saw over there was Jordan only has a Siglif that's powered up. And I didn't see what else was on the bench. But currently it looks like it's going into Polo's favor right now. And it looks like Jacob starts with a Slurpuff.
Yeah, a Swirlix. Swirlix, the pre-evolution.
What am I thinking?
And we have a Zubat up front with a Wobbuffet on the bench for Kyle. Kyle goes ahead and plays a Juniper on turn 1. And there's a second, a second Zubat. Looks like Kyle was considering not playing it. And actually, that turn 1 Juniper made Kyle get rid of 2 Ns, another supporter that I can't quite see, and a Versus Seeker. So he's throwing away a lot of resources for that Juniper. Retreats to the Wobbuffet. Is there a reason to retreat to the Wobbuffet, really? Because Jacob's not going to be able to activate the Slurpuff. His ability is not going to be able to evolve yet. And now we just see the Wobbuffet's getting lasered. Is there...
I think his reason is because he actually wants to keep the Zubats for the damage. Because Zubat's only 40 HP.
He would just rather have the...
Yeah, because Jacob could just poison and be able to Quaking Punch for a knockout. So he didn't want to give that early prize.
Wobbuffet requires a lot less setup cost than, I guess, than Zubat too, because the Zubat's going to stay alive to be able to evolve in the future. Wow, and there's Jacob's perfect start after ending just slams down the Seismitoad DCE muscle band. And laser's active, and the flip is a Tails. So Jacob
actually just, with that hand right there, he actually just put him in really good position.
Yeah, he's actually taking control of this game immediately. There's another Juniper from Kyle, going to discard another N. That's 3 Ns in the discard pile and a bunch of unplayable items.
3 Ns and 2 level balls. That would have been crucial for a double gold bat.
And it looks like Kyle actually drew a good amount of Zubat evolutions, as well as another Wobbuffet and energy. So the card that the hand that he drew off the Juniper does look pretty solid for his position. Obviously, not going to be able to switch due to the Quaking Punch being active, or find any way out of the active position because he is asleep.
The problem here is with the poison. It kind of if there was a Verbank in play, or that if he didn't get the Dimension Valley, then the Wobbuffet would have died and.
Yeah, it would have been knocked out going into Jacob's turn.
Yeah, so that would have been bad. So the good thing he was able to pull off that Dimension Valley.
Absolutely, and Jacob playing another N here. It's going to be the best time that Jacob can play an N. He's going to take a prize this turn. So he might as well get the 6 cards of it rather than the 5. And I think what Jacob's really looking for here, he would like it looks like Jacob revealed a Head Ringer off the top of his deck, but it may just be so far into his deck that doesn't actually matter. Yeah, it's still a few cards deep. He would like a Crushing Hammer. And then... Oh, and there's the Crushing Hammer.
And there's a Heads.
And there's a Heads. That's pretty nice. And there's a Swirlix, and he's going to level ball for a Slurpuff, I assume.
Yeah, and Kyle does have another energy, actually.
Yeah, with the Dimension Valley in play.
Yeah.
It'll be just fine. No second Seismitoad, and I know that Kyle did have a Crobat, but after the end, I'm not sure what he has now. So Jacob will definitely need to find a second Seismitoad when he can. And there's another Juniper, discarding a Colress and some more unplayable items, but Kyle is actually, he's down 3 Junipers, at least 3 Ns, a Colress now. His deck is not very supporter heavy at this point.
Yeah, on top of that, you can't play his Versus Secret to get those things back.
Absolutely. Of course, Jacob's plan does involve playing Lysander's Trump card, which will kind of reset that, so it's not as loose for Kyle to get rid of those cards.
Yeah, the thing about this Jacob's deck is that they actually run a lower count of ends because they don't want to refresh all those item cards back into their hands and force them to Juniper.
Right, right.
And with them out, if I was in Jacob's position, how stable I am right now, I don't think there's even a need because how much Kyle just burnt right there. There's no need for him to actually trump card for himself. He could actually just let Kyle stay stuck and mill himself out.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think part of Jacob's plan is going to be to play the trump card, although if Jacob's not drawing as many cards off Slurpuff, maybe he won't need it. Yeah. Jacob also fails to find another Seismitoad here. And with only 1 card remaining in his hand, he could be in a rough spot. Obviously, again, it's very likely that the Seismitoad is going to trade for the Wobbuffet, so to speak, here.
Actually, Seismitoad is going to die this turn if he... I believe he actually attached the double... Oh, no, he has a Psychic on there, so yeah.
Yeah, that's a knockout. The Dimension Valley is in play, knocking out the Verbank, which is unfortunate. And there's an N for Jacob.
Yeah, this is actually hard for Jacob because he did not have the Seismitoad double cardless.
This is a big turn for Jacob. This N is huge. He needs to
pull a Seismitoad and a double cardless to lock him.
Yeah, Seismitoad DC is what he's looking for here. Even a Verbank would do a nice job of at least knocking out the Wobbuffet and making...
So it looks like he does have the Seismitoad.
It's not going to matter if he can't get the double colorless, though.
Yeah. Well, he does have a tasting for 2.
He can't activate it because of the Wobbuffet.
Oh, yeah. Man. Food can't be tasty anymore.
And yeah, there's a Muscle Band and Pass, so Kyle has a turn to use items now. And this is really where Kyle can capitalize. He's already ahead, and this is where he can...
Yeah. The problem now, but I believe Kyle already discarded 3 to 4 level balls, actually. He discarded one where there was the 2 ends, or 1 or 2 of them. So he's actually really low on balls to get the Crobats line out. But he does have a Muscle Band that he could attach to the Wobbuffet. But the Wobbuffet, if he can't get the Wobbuffet out, he will die and go into Jacob's turn.
Yeah, if he can't retrieve the Wobbuffet, it will get knocked out. There's an Ultra Ball, the first item that Kyle's really been able to play this turn, or this game. And Jacob down to 1 card in hand again after dropping the Ultra Ball and then playing the Seismitoad and Muscle Band. So this is, again, we saw Jacob take a lead at the very beginning of the game, and now
Kyle has no cards in hand.
So we're both playing off the top of our decks right now, and it looks like that Wobbuffet's just going to go ahead and get knocked out.
Jacob will take 1 prize, and that could be actually a crucial prize too, because if there's a supporter in that prize, or there's the one in his hand.
Absolutely, and we see that Jacob draws his card. Jacob also has, and there's a Juniper. Jacob also has the ability to activate Slurpuffs now.
He actually discarded a trump card, so he's going to have to Versus Secret that card back.
And that's fine. There's a double colorless. He doesn't mind Versus Secreting it back, I don't think. Yeah. That's part of the reason why it's a viable strategy, as the Versus Secret has been printed.
Yeah.
And the Sigilyph stays asleep. Or Sigilyph is asleep. Will it stay asleep? They need to flip for sleep. I don't think they flip for sleep.
Oh, they didn't. Oh, no. Oh, no. He rolled going into his turn. So...
I don't know if they missed that or we missed it.
Yeah. The thing is, if he could get the Sigilyph out, If he could get the Sigilyph out, he could actually start skill diving for 50 damage onto the Seismitoad. Within the Wobbuffet will do more damage back because of the Dimension Valley. Jacob, I believe, has 2 Verbanks in there in his discard pile, so he needs the trump card to get them back.
And he is versus Seekering here, deciding what to play. He does get the trump card. Going to be able to reset those resources and just has to play the trump card. And again, because the Wobbuffet is not active, Jacob can activate. Oh. Okay. So Jacob thought Kyle was shuffling his hand in. Kyle actually doesn't have a hand.
Yeah. Oh, that makes it much worse because now Kyle is relying on top decking.
Yeah, could have. I mean, and now he's even. Kyle's deck was a pretty supporter light, as we talked about.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that adding those, 12 supporters or whatever it was back into the deck are actually giving Kyle a higher chance. But it also is putting a lot of items back in as well.
All the items that he discarded.
So we could see a similar situation to our last game, where Kyle just, draws dead for 4 or 5 turns. That's enough for Jacob to completely take over the game. Jacob is certainly ahead now, but he's not exactly in a dominating position.
Yeah.
There's this.
And he rolls ahead.
Sigilyph does wake up, and the draw is a psychic energy.
Yeah, so he can retreat, bring up the Crobat, drop 50 damage on the Seismitoad, and pair it for the Wobbuffet because of the Dimension Valley.
Absolutely. So quite the nice top deck there.
And I think Jacob's going to go for another Slurpuff here because he's allowed to for abilities.
Yeah, he just needs to draw as many cards as he can. Use these Slurpuffs while he can.
Yeah.
He doesn't need a 3rd Seismitoad right now. Has a pretty high chance of drawing into it off the Slurpuffs. And there's a Juniper for 7. And a big laser.
That's
and
a
the tails.
But he's still getting 80 damage off with the Crobat.
He's only going to do 60. He doesn't have a Verbank in play quite yet, but hopefully he'll be able to find one off the trump card. And there's a Seismitoad EX coming down.
Yeah, slimming down his deck.
There's also a league challenge going on at this event. A pretty star-studded one, actually. Thailand and Amora, David Cohen, Serena Radu, or Simon DeRode are all playing in this league challenge, so probably one of the tougher league challenges in the world, maybe.
I mean, the harder ones are at the Worlds.
Are there league challenges at Worlds?
They're small events. They're almost like league challenges. Maybe. Who knows? So, looks like he's going to bring up the Wobbuffet and do 60 damage to the Seismitoad, placing it at 110.
Yeah, just trying to save his Crobat from getting knocked out. And there's Jacob getting a Victini. I think he's mostly just getting that to thin his deck out a bit. After that last Lancerner's trump card, his deck is quite big. Yeah, he's just immediately discarding it off the Juniper.
Yeah.
And so Jacob would really like to hit a Verbank here. A way to switch the Seismitoad out would be pretty nice. A laser, of course, would be pretty nice, especially if it gets the heads. And there's a Crushing Hammer. Also gets a head, so 2 flips going Jacob's way. But I mean, Kyle could easily wake up and attach an energy.
Kyle could actually take 2 prizes if he pulls a Crobat here. Or a Golbat.
He does wake up.
He evolves the Golbat, placing 2 on the Seismitoad, and then if he skill dives the Seismitoad, then he'll be able to knock it out with the Muscle Band.
But nope, he just has to pass. Cannot find a way to retreat the Wobbuffet. See, the VGC event is starting. People get quite excited for those events. And looks like Kyle drew another dead card off the top deck. Jacob is actually up on prizes now. Again, because there are no EX cards in Kyle's deck, Jacob will be taking these prizes the hard way.
Yeah. Well, there is a Mewtwo, but there's no need of placing it down.
Yeah. And there's the colorist. So Jacob now is...
He's in a very
good spot here. Bumps the Dimension Valley with the Verbank.
Pretty much Jacob's in an ideal position. The double slurp puff with Seismitoad set up with the muscle bands. He got the Verbank down now.
Absolutely. And he's drawing 7 cards off of the colorist here. He can go up to 9 off of Tastings.
8. He has 2 Zubats.
Oh, 8. Yeah, you're right, actually. So he can go up to 10 off the Tastings. Accidentally, he's going up to 11 off the Tastings because he has a switch here. And he needs just a laser to be able to knock out the Crobat. The Crobat has 130 HP.
Yes, 130.
So yeah, already has 60 on it, so 50 after the Quaking Punch, moving up to 110. And then the Verbank, or the laser poison would bring him to a knockout and take Jacob down to 2 prizes. And there's a second Tasting. And there's the laser. Jacob just drawing absolutely everything that he needs.
Yeah.
There's the third double color, or the second double colorless to power up that Seismitoad. And there's the knockout. Jacob going down to 2 prizes. And a Psychic Energy was the draw. And looks like Kyle
needs to find a way to get a Golbat out. Or Golbat to take out that Seismitoad, take 2 prizes, and see if he could get off the 2 prizes.
So it looks like he's just going to go ahead and promote the Wobbuffet, activate that ability, at least not let Jacob draw as many cards. Kyle does not look like a happy camper here, as both of these games have. And there's the Psychic Energy, and a pass of the turn. Jacob would really like to see another laser here, so he can computer search. Although he might have to computer search for a way to get trump card at this point.
Yeah.
His deck is already looking pretty thin, and decking himself is one of the ways he can lose here if he can't get the Lysander's trump card out. For some reason, he's gotten rid of his Versus Seekers.
You could either go for trump card or actually just a Lysander in general. Yeah. So you go to Lysander, kill the Zubat, and you're adding the pressure of the 1 prize because you have another Zubat down. And he needs to evolve it, or the Wobbuffet will just take damage.
Good call, Alan. I didn't see that play available to Jacob. And Jacob's obviously a very good kind of technical player.
Yeah.
For the Lysander, and that is game. Jacob Van Wagner advances to the finals of the Portland, Oregon Regional Championships. Can Jacob do it again? He won this tournament last year with a Virizion Genesect EX Ho EX deck, and now he's in the finals. He has climbed his way through multiple bad matchups. I don't know what he's playing in the finals yet. We haven't gotten the results of that game.
Yeah.
I'm going to go grab Jacob for a quick interview. Maybe we can see the result of Polo's game, and we'll be right back.